to let you know the points in the slides are not in the order of the application form. It's really to get you thinking about your application, what you should be putting in there, and help you formulate a good proposal. So you really need to think about what's the benefit or the need that the project will address. What's the current market like? If you can put the size of the market and the dynamics growing, if you can guess how much you might take of that market, all this kind of information is what TSB is looking for, because they're looking to quantify the return on the investment. So you need to work out how the industry partners profit, when are they going to profit, and how much. So you need to kind of think about these as you're going through the application process. If there are any wider benefits, make sure you put that in. So these could be environmental, social, and think about your route to market. So once the project's finished, what does a successful project look like? But obviously you've still got some way to go to get it to market. So how are you going to fund this, and how long is this going to take? And also if there's any kind of hurdles, regulatory hurdles, make sure you put that in as well. So of course it's a collaborative R&D, so make sure that there's enough time for development within the project. Make sure you provide sufficient detail to judge the quality and the feasibility of the technical plan. Explain the risks. Obviously, there's a reason why you're requiring TSB funding, but don't ignore that there's risks with this project. Make sure you put them in. Demonstrate that you've got the necessary skills and resources available, and provide a clear structure plan. If you're going to have monthly teleconferences or those kind of things, make sure you put in how this consortium is going to work. So this is a question I think a lot of the KTN staff to ask a lot. What's the right consortia? What's the kind of model? There isn't one model we can say of consortia. It's what fits the project. If you need 2 people to do the project, that's what you put in. If you need more than that, you put that in as well. So you could either have a horizontal consortia, so this might be your primary producers working on something, or you could have verticals, so it could be right from primary producers all the way to the retailer. So you need to think about who you've got in there and why are the partners that you've chosen. And you need to show that they're the strongest people for that project, that these are the people that are going to make this happen. And the other thing that we haven't really mentioned is that the Technology Strategy Board are technology agnostic. So if you're looking at something that's, say, genetically modified, of course you might be able to use it in, say, Europe, but you might be able to use it in other markets. So you need to put that in and how you're going to get that to those markets. And one thing you say is, what you don't want the assessor to do is get through to the end of the application form and see a name of a company and they're not mentioned in the other pages. So everyone has to have an active role. There is no kind of passengers on this. Then they have to have some benefit in some way. So you need to make sure that everyone has been mentioned at some point. And the really key thing is why would this project not happen if the TSB weren't funding it? There's usually a risk involved, because if it's 100% dead set it's going to work, then you find some way to fund it. So you need to think about how you're going to explain this and justify why you're not funding the project yourself. So it might be that you'd do it, but you'd get the results and then take it to the next stage, whereas the TSB would help you do it quicker, get it to market quicker, and make an impact. So it's just a few general tips. Agree collaboration agreements is one thing we say. The TSB have a model collaboration agreement, and we've got this on our website, and we'll make sure that you've got access to it. And you need this in place. You don't want to get all the way down the line, submit, and then it all falls apart. You need to agree with your partners on IP and who's been doing the work. So you need to have one in place to get the funding, so make sure you start at the beginning to talk about these kind of things. There are 6 pages in the application form. It's not a massive amount of kind of space to talk about your projects. You really need to be clear and concise. And Nick's mentioned it before, but just don't assume the assessors are experts in your area. Please avoid acronyms or technical terms. You know, people need to be able to understand this application form. So they're not necessarily experts in your subject area. We said again, don't carry any passengers, so they've got to be involved in some way. And if you can provide evidence of the market or patent searches or anything like that, make sure you put that in as well. So stress the added value of the funding, explain all the finances, and the one thing we'll say is check all the deadlines. They're on the booklets. You know, we'll post when it's coming to closing and things like this, but you have to register to get the documents. The registration deadline is 1 week before the actual competition closes. If you don't register, you can't apply. And even if you're kind of thinking about applying for TSB funding, I would say as soon as the competition opens, register and you know you've got the documents. TSB have noon deadlines, which is another thing to make people aware of. So the one thing is, please don't leave it till 5 to 11 to submit your document, because your IT could crash, their IT could crash. So you want to make sure you give yourself plenty of time to submit everything in. And don't leave it too late to ask us or TSB questions. And then hopefully try and write a proposal that excites and inspires. So we've got a case study that we worked with a company who've gone through this process, and they've given their top 10 tips of how they found the process and what they, and how they worked through it. So there's case studies down in the coffee area, so make sure you have a look at that. So I'm just going to quickly talk about Biosciences KTN, and Nick's mentioned our role really is to connect and catalyse innovation. So how can we help you with Nutrition for Life and other competitions? So we can give you advice on the project scope. So if you've got a project and you're not sure whether it fits within this competition, let us know what you're thinking about doing. And if it doesn't fit Nutrition for Life, we know the competitions that are open now and will be open in the future. So we can guide you as to actually maybe Nutrition for Life is not the competition for you, but there's one coming in 2 months and we'll help you with that. We can help identify potential partners. We can review draft proposals. If you give us enough time, and I'll stipulate that now before my colleagues eventually say we'll do that. So if you can give us enough time, we'll review the proposals. And it's just a fresh pair of eyes, and we've seen a lot of these applications before. And there's a lot of information on Connect. So all the slides from today, the videos will be available. There's also presentations that will be happening in Birmingham. So if you're looking for partners, I suggest you look at those presentations as well, because there could be somebody that you want to work with there. So to give an idea of the impact that we can have if we get to see your proposals, is there was a competition in 2011 on sustainable protein production. And we actually were assisting 18 consortia with their applications, and 17 of those were funded. So if you give us enough time and let us help you, we'll try and make you one of those successful projects. And the values of the projects overall exceeded £18 million. So I've mentioned Connect several times, but all the information will be in there, all the KTNs are on there. And you simply register once. And then you can sign up for weekly emails and digests, which just come straight to your inbox. We'd ask you to complete your profile as much as possible, because then we can tailor the information you send to yourself. So if anyone's registered as a food company, they would have got the information for Nutrition for Life, for example. So if you can fill in as much information as possible, that really helps us target what we send you. There's just a few other things we wanted to raise awareness of. We've got competition documents for a competition that's open at the moment, and this is really looking at improving identification and measurement of key production and quality traits. So it's over £8 million, and again it's collaborative R&D and feasibility studies. And the deadline is the 1st of May, so if you think this might be something of interest, I said there's competition documents on the leaflet stands, and come grab a KTN staff member and we'll try and help you with that. We also have Spark Awards. So these are £5,000 grants for new collaborations between a UK SME and an academic partner. And it's really to stimulate a collaboration which we hope goes on to larger projects like Nutrition for Life, and the projects to fit within the remit of the KTN. And we expect a new call in May. And again, there's a Spark group on the website. If you register for that, as soon as it's open, you'll get an email to let you know that the registration is open. It's a simple process, and we've had a lot of success in the past with them. I've also got a couple of events I wanted to just highlight. So last November we held an early careers researchers event in food, and this was to get early careers researchers, so masters, PhDs and first postdocs, and they had presentations from industry. So we had someone from Danone talk about what it's like to work for Danone, and also someone from a small Scottish SME to talk about what it's like to work in an SME. And we also then gave the researchers an opportunity to present 15-minute presentations. There was networking and there were posters, but there was also prizes, and these prizes were experiences. So someone got to go to Danone headquarters and spend a whole day talking to the marketing team in different parts of the Danone team. Someone also got to go to Mars with them for the day. So it was a really successful event, and I know some people have already kind of targeted me with, if you've got jobs that you'd like to advertise, we're happy to do that. But also, if you're a company and you think you'd like to get involved, whether it's just come to the day and meet the academics, or whether you'd like to offer a prize. But also with the academics, if you've got any researchers that aren't going, I would suggest, we've had really good feedback about the event, so it's definitely something to highlight. And then we have 2 events we're holding in September. The first is a healthy and sustainable aquatic supply chain. It's really to bring organisations across the supply chain to understand what issues there are and maybe work out if there's any ways that for collaborative work. And Kezia is organising that event. There's leaflets and flyers, but if you have any information, you want any more information, then Kezia is the person to see about that one. And then on the following day, we've got a workshop looking at funding opportunities to transform food waste into high-value products. Use those short titles. So this is a really partnering event to get food processing industry together with technology providers to find solutions to reduce waste, but also to add value. And it's really looking forward to a competition that's opening in September, October this year, and it's really to give an opportunity for people to get into the room to talk about how they could work together, and there's also one-to-one partnering available. And Michelle is organising that event, so if you have any questions, then she's the person to see. So I'm now going to embarrass my colleagues and make them kind of put their hands up. So Michelle's from the IB sector. We've got David and Kezia from the animal side. We've got Aurora from the plant side, and then there's myself and Jane, and there's Brian and Simon. So basically, if you have any questions, then please ask me. And then that's just our sponsors. And I suppose any questions for myself and Nick, we're happy to take.